All right, guys. So we're out here in the garage, and this is the board that I'm going to put my system on. So I don't know if you can see. I got three little dots, five little dots here, and that's for these my little switches that I'm going to put in. Basically, what these switches is going to be, I'm going to wire them all in. Um, it's probably only going to use maybe about two or three right now. When I get up there, I got some lights I'm going to put in the front so that if I'm working late at night, I can just throw the switch and have some floodlights that'll be out there. They're kind of the same lights that you put on rhinos or side by sides, but they're very bright and they're LED lights, low voltage. So I'm going to put those on the shed. So I'm going to wire these in, and well, not wire them in. I'm going to place them where they're going to be. Tonight, what I'm working on is the layout, putting stuff where it's going to be. I want it to look neat. All right. So I want it to look cool. So trial and error, right? So we'll see how it turns out. All right, let's get to work. I'm drilling the holes, switches. You see me installing the switches. Right, so how my switches in, as you can see, pretty simple. Split. And then I'm not doing this. Got label maker. On top. All right, I'm gonna keep laying this out. Plan is to be able to just take this board, take it up there, mount it up in my shed, run the solar panels to it, and hook the battery to it, and we should be good to go. All right. Now what you see me doing is installing a fuse panel. This fuse panel is similar to something in the vehicle. I will use this to power the lights. Then later on, I'm going to get an RV water pump, and then I'm going to install that to supply water whenever we need it. Now what I'm doing is connecting all the negative wires together, so I don't have to run a bunch of wires. I'll be able to run one wire and that will hold all my stuff. Now it's time for me to install my power bus. These will be bars that I can connect powers and grounds. It's a simpler way to run a bunch of wires in one spot. After looking at it and then looking at my drawing up in the upper right hand corner, I noticed that my bus bars was too far to the right. So I decided to move it back to make more room whenever I add my power. Next on the list is my 40 amp circuit breaker. This circuit breaker we use to protect charge controller. Now I am installing what they call low amperage, high voltage circuit breakers will be used to protect the panel. I can turn this switch on and off and it will isolate the power coming from it. Now it's time to get the wiring prepared and then start installing my main on-off power. As you can see, I'm drilling a hole in the cap that will allow the wire to pass through. It's just, you don't have to do this. I felt that I wanted to do it again, just trying to make it look. Just wanted to out. You see the little diagram that I have clipped on my board? Again, that's my design that I did on SketchUp. Like I said before, I like to draw out all of my builds so that I can get a visual. It just helps me see and get the job done. Now what I'm doing is about to install a 200 amp fuse. Fuse is in between main system and the battery.
What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through.
What I noticed is that fuse holes were not quite big enough, so I used a drill to make them a little bit wider so that they go over the lug on my on-off.
Be sure to keep them round in sight. Fly forever if you keep it tight. Love the world, but keep the sky on your mind.
Now what I'm doing is laying the board down so I can kind of get a good layout of where I want to place it. Here I'm starting to wire the power wire to its power bus bar. Notice those screws sticking out the back of my board. Eventually what I'm going to do is take my die grinder and grind all those screws off so they're not sticking out and being. All right, so I had my switch mounted, what I wanted it to be. Then I noticed that my 200 amp fuse was sticking low, and I didn't want that to get damaged in transport, so I ended up putting that switch up 2 inches just so it can be. Now I have everything all completed. The only thing I need to add is my charge controller and my power converter. And I was waiting on those to come in. Once they get in, I'll get them added and we'll get this installed on land.